Hi, Francesca here. I'm popping in quickly to ask you a favor. If you're a fan of this podcast, I could really use your support. First, please take a few seconds to subscribe to this podcast and to rate this podcast 5 stars. Look at your phone right now and tap subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, scroll down to ratings and reviews and tap 5 stars. It's that simple. It literally takes seconds. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can also write a review. And thank you to those of you who already have done that. I really appreciate you. And lastly, if you know anyone who you think would enjoy this podcast, please share it with them. It would help me so much in growing the show and growing the audience. Thank you so much in advance. I appreciate you so much. And now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Dear Franny, the podcast of uncommon conversations about love. I'm your host, Francesca HERE. Hi there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am grateful for you, as always, for listening to this podcast. I'm so excited when I see new downloads from new places. So I want to shout out all the people around the world who are discovering this podcast. It makes me so happy, and I'm really grateful for you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for those of you who've written reviews. I super duper appreciate it. And today I wanted to talk to you about true love. And true love is the concept that, I don't know, when I think about true love, I think of The Princess Bride and I think of these very romantic stories that I've been watching and hearing my whole life, and I'm sure that you have too. I call it the fairy tale industrial complex, which is, it's the fairy tales, it's the romantic novels, it's the rom-coms, it's the love stories, it's all of our general attitudes and perceptions about love. And I've been reflecting a lot on this lately and the idea of true love and what true love really means. So moving beyond the fantasy of true love, but talking about actual true love. So what I want to do today is kind of break down for you my definition of true love. And I think this definition is really helpful because if you are someone who is you are single and you don't want to be single, or maybe you're in a relationship and you're trying to figure out, is this the right relationship for me? And you don't want to settle. And I am team no settling. Settling for a romantic relationship that is less than true love is certainly a choice that a lot of people make. And I don't want to invalidate that choice. But for me, I always felt very clearly that if I did not feel really, truly in love and truly excited about a relationship, that it wasn't a relationship that I wanted to be in. And I'm a very good single person. So I personally would always choose being single over having a relationship that was less than gratifying. And when I say this, I don't mean to say that, a relationship is going to be perfect all the time, because there's no perfection in being human. But there are these fundamental elements that are really important. So I'm going to share these with you today. And I'm also going to give you a heads up that once I share these 5 elements that define a true love relationship, I'm also launching a 4-week digital course that is all about true love and how to find it. And the point of it is to teach you all of these things that no one ever taught me, that I had to figure out on my own through lots of years of trial and error. And maybe you can relate to that, right? I have lots of years of trial and error when it comes to love. And so I wanted to eliminate all of that unnecessary struggle, frustration, heartache. So my course is going to be breaking all of these things down. And more importantly, it's going to be teaching you how to break your unwanted dating patterns, how to get really clear on what you actually need in a relationship and what those non-negotiables are for you specifically. I call that your true love code, your specific true love code, how to quiet negative self-talk, gain more love confidence, how to eliminate dating confusion, and how to get in the emotional and mental state that makes you a magnet for the love that you're seeking. And that's so important because if you're going through the motions, and I did an episode about this last week, so if you haven't listened to my episode about how to avoid wasting your time while dating, please do, because it's so easy to go through the motions of dating and feel like you're in it and feel like you're out there, but you're just spinning your wheels and having the same experiences over and over again. And that can feel incredibly frustrating and painful. And I know because I've been there. So I'm going to give you a heads up that I'm going to give you some more details about that at the end of this podcast. And there will be a link in the bio where you can click and you can read more about my course, which is launching. Actually, the course starts October 1st. So it's coming up pretty quickly. This is October 1st, 2020, if anybody's listening to this in the future. So it's coming up pretty quickly, but it's going to be good. So totally worth your time. But anyway, let's dive in. True love. Okay, so thinking about true love, these are the 5 elements of a true love relationship as I define it. And when you're listening to these, think about your own dating patterns, think about your own relationship history, and, see how many of these elements were present in that relationship. And if there were any that aren't present or weren't present in those relationships, then I think this is an opportunity for you to really understand why that relationship didn't work out or that relationship wasn't satisfying to you. So number 1, true love is intimate. And when I say intimate, I mean that it's both physically intimate, but it's also emotionally intimate. So in order to have that emotional and physical intimacy, particularly the emotional intimacy, because physical intimacy, that's something that some of us, that we can do that more easily, but the emotional intimacy part, that can be really challenging. And for some people, it's vice versa. And for some people, both of those are challenging, but they don't always have to be. So just that ability to be emotionally intimate with someone requires authenticity, true authenticity. You can't really connect with another person unless they can see you and feel who you really are, right? So there's vulnerability that's required in being authentic and making those connections. So if vulnerability is something that you are challenged with, and certainly, it's an ongoing process for me to work on becoming more vulnerable, and then we're all challenged with that to some degree, then that's a sign like, okay, if I want to have that emotional intimacy with another person, I want to have that physical intimacy with another person, then it's up to me to decide that I'm going to work on bringing more vulnerability into my life, into my relationship. And by the way, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown is an excellent, excellent book. I know I recommend it all the time because I can't recommend it enough. Please, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, game changer when it comes to vulnerability. So true love is intimate, and physical and emotional intimacy, those two are tied up together. And then number 2, true love is safe. And what I mean by safe is that it is physically safe, right? So there's no kind of, physical violence, sexual violence, abuse, nothing like that. But also it is emotionally safe. And that means that you are safe to express your emotions, right? To have a range of emotions and to have those emotions be acknowledged, right? And if you have the experience of being in a relationship with somebody who gaslights you, and for those of you who aren't familiar with the term gaslighting, what it means is when something is going on, something is wrong, your intuition, your instincts, that something is wrong, and your partner just pretends that you are the crazy one. Like, no, nothing's wrong. You're paranoid, you're jealous, you're this, you're that. They turn your intuition about something that's awry and they use it as a weapon against you to make you think that you're the one who's imagining things, you're the one who's crazy, and that the way that you feel is not valid. That's basically what it is. So if you have a situation where you're being gaslit by your partner, or your feelings are being invalidated, or every time you share something, it gets, used as a weapon against you, then that is a lack of emotional safety, right? So it's very, very difficult. And I actually, I'm not going to say it's difficult. I'm going to go as far as to say that it is impossible to have true intimacy without emotional safety. And I think there are a lot of people who would agree with me on that. And that's a big one, because I think physical safety, even though obviously there is a lot of people who are in relationships where they don't have complete physical safety, if somebody is physically abusive towards you or physically withholding, or, there's something going on in that arena, we can all kind of look at that and say, okay, maybe that's not great. But when it comes to emotional safety, it's something that people don't really think about. So, when you're dating, when you're meeting people, you want to pay attention to, number 1, Are you being authentic, right? Are you expressing yourself? Are you being true to your intuition and to what's in your heart? And how is it being received by this other person, right? Are your feelings validated? Do you feel that you can express yourself to this person and it's safe? So safety, emotionally and physically, super duper important element of a true love relationship. Number 3, a true love relationship is committed. And commitment is an important part of this because it's very difficult to feel safe emotionally with somebody if they're not committed to you and you're not committed to them, right? There's no guarantee. Not that there's any guarantees in life, but it's very difficult for you to have any assurance that this person is going to be there for you if they have not decided to be there for you and you haven't decided to be there for them, right? To be there for each other. So that commitment aspect is really key, because if that relationship can go away at any moment, or if you're not on the same page about the level of commitment, then it's going to be really difficult for you to have any of the intimacy or the safety that I've been talking about. So that commitment is important. Number 4, and there's only 5 of them. They're all big, but this is really big too. Respect. Respect is a key element of a true love relationship. And when I talk about respect, what I mean is treating each other with dignity, even when you disagree. So dignity is an important part of a true love relationship. So if you don't have that respect, that baseline of respect, they're all connected, right? So this also ties into emotional safety. So if you have a relationship with someone and you know that when they're upset or you guys have a disagreement, they're going to be mean, they're going to be hurtful, they're going to try to cut you down, they're going to hit below the belt, right? They're going to go nuclear. I had a friendship. I never had this dynamic in a romantic relationship, but I had this dynamic in a friendship with a friend who was a dear friend of mine for many years. But one of the dangers of being very close to somebody who doesn't have a lot of good tools in terms of dealing with their own emotional highs, lows, trauma, sadness, all of those things, is that they will take it out on you, right? The closer you are to them, the more likely it is that they're going to take it out on you. And that's what happened with this friend of mine. And there were 2 incidents, some number of years apart, where he just went nuclear on me. I mean, it was like a small little thing happened, a relatively small thing happened that didn't have to be a big deal. It could have been a regular disagreement, but it was a trigger for him. And then he just went nuclear, scorched earth, just, escalated the situation, it's like, oh, that escalated quickly. Like from Anchorman, like that's how I felt. I was like, whoa, that escalated quickly, and just really went for the jugular. And basically our friendship had taken these years-long breaks, punctuated by when this happened, because I was like, I'm not going to be friends with somebody who treats me like this. We had to go apart for years. He had to work on himself. I had to work on myself. And then our friendship was able to somewhat rekindle. Then it happened again. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this again. But anyway, my point is that, you don't have emotional safety with someone when you are in fear or in worry that they are going to, just tear you down if there is a disagreement. So that respect, that decision to always treat each other with dignity, even when you disagree, is so, so key. And this is the essence of healthy relationships, whether they are romantic or not, is that basic level of respect. And then number 5, the final one, true love is joyful. It's joyful. And for it to be joyful doesn't mean that you never have a problem. To be joyful doesn't mean that every moment is ecstasy. To be joyful doesn't mean that you're happy all the time. But to be joyful in a true love relationship does mean that at the core of your relationship and your connection, there lies joy. And it's something that you are able to regularly experience with each other. And it is a natural byproduct of everything else we've been talking about. It's a byproduct of that emotional and physical intimacy and that emotional and physical safety and that commitment and that respect. If you have all of those things, then you're also going to have joy. And that is going to be a touchstone for your relationship that the two of you can always return to. So if you are in a relationship or you know what it's like to be in a relationship that you would never describe as joyful, then I also want you to look at, well, how, how was the intimacy emotionally and physically, right? Our ability to be vulnerable and authentic with each other, right? How was our emotional and physical safety? Were we both safe from each other in that relationship? Because I'm focusing right now on your partner, and is your partner emotionally safe, and is your partner respectful, and is your partner able to be authentic and vulnerable? But this is about you as well, because you can't, if you aren't somebody with whom other people can feel emotionally safe, then this isn't going to work, right? It needs to be a two-way street. But the great news is that you have the power to work on all of these elements and to start working on them right now. You don't have to wait until you're in the relationship. You don't have to wait to start dating. You can do these things simultaneously. And in fact, dating is a really important process, and it brings up so much of these issues. It brings up so much of our triggers and our beliefs and our traumas and our conditioning. And so gives us a real opportunity when we're dating to confront, like, oh, wow, I have this habit of shutting down, right? I have this habit of when I, get in my feelings, then I can't see anybody else's perspective. And maybe I've gaslit people. Francesca HERE, have gaslit people, I'm sure that I have, because, for years I was not a very emotionally self-aware person, right? I was self-centered, but not really self-aware. So there is a humility that is required to be more self-aware, that humility of, okay, there are things that are going on here. There are thoughts, there are beliefs, there are triggers that I have that I don't fully understand. Most of what you think and feel is happening beneath your conscious awareness. So if we're just going around thinking in our logical brains, we can just accurately assess everything that we believe in our lives, then we're wrong. That's not how it works, right? So it requires that humility to understand, I've got to go a little bit deeper here. I've got to tap in. I've got to self-reflect. I've got to journal. I've got to meditate. I've got to, visualize. I need to do some type of work to go a little bit deeper so I can really understand what's going on. And I know that that can feel scary, but that's where the magic lies. And you can do it. And you're far more resilient than you think you are. If you are an adult who is listening to this right now, then you've already survived pain, heartache, trauma, hard times. You've already survived so much, and you're here, and you're still listening to this podcast right now, which means that hopefully something that I'm saying right now is resonating with you. So just know that you have the ability within you to go deeper and to heal. And that's the thing, it's healing when you start to understand and examine these things, and you do them with compassion for yourself. And if you listen to this podcast, I'm always talking about self-compassion as an act of self-love and the foundation of self-love. It is so healing. And once you heal all of that, then all of these other things become so much easier. So if any of this feels really daunting, or like, oh my God, that's just, I can't do that, or, I've never had a relationship even close to that, or I've never had a relationship, that doesn't matter. That is okay. That is absolutely okay. This is still possible for you. So that is my definition of true love. And as I said at the beginning, I am launching a digital course. It's 4 weeks. It's 30 days to help you to understand personally how to apply all of these concepts, because I'm talking very generally right now, but how to apply them for yourself, for your own life, so you can transform your love life. As I said, the course starts October 1st. As of today, you can sign up. There is an early bird price, which if you click on the link in the show notes, you can learn more about, and you can learn all that it includes. And that price is good until September 20th. So about a week, you have to sign up at this low, very discounted price. And then it goes up to regular price. And then the course starts on October 1st. So I would love for you to be a part of it. It's going to be videos, workshops, and also live calls where you get to talk to me on the live call and get your questions answered one-on-one. So, you can do this at your own pace. Everything is recorded, so you have it for your reference. So like I said, click on the link in my bio. You can also connect with me on Instagram. I'm at dearfranny. Please find me there. If you send me a DM, or if you just follow me on Instagram, I'm going to be announcing it there. But shoot me a DM, click on the link in my bio, and you will be able to see all of the information. So that is true love And that's a little bit about the course. So I hope to see you there. Like I said, DM me if you have any questions or anything, or you want more information. I appreciate you so much for listening to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time. I don't take for granted that your time is precious, and I do very much appreciate that you have decided to spend some of it with me today. So subscribe to this podcast if you're enjoying it. If you think that there's anybody in your life who would benefit from hearing this episode, please share it with them. Sharing the podcast, I'm going to be talking about this more. This is me pushing myself out of my comfort zone to talk more and ask more directly for you guys to help me in promoting this podcast if you are enjoying it, because I do want to grow this audience. Producing this podcast, it's time, it's energy, and I'm so grateful to every single person who listens to this, but I want to amplify the impact of the show and the message that I'm trying to get out there in the world, and I need you for that. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for supporting me. Like I said, please connect with me on Instagram. I'm at Dear Franny. I'm also at Dear Franny on Twitter and Facebook. I'm easy to find. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there. Have a beautiful day. Spread some love in this world, because Lord knows we need it, starting with loving ourselves a little bit more. Thank you. Till next time.